Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, I've heard you talk about how new homes are doing well with their sales right now, but many people don't think that they need an agent to buy a new home. Why should a home buyer consider getting an agent like you to help them buy that new home?
Well, Richard, the builders do everything for the buyer. They give them huge incentives. They try to make the process easy for them. If they're building from the ground up, they have a process that they have them go through where they pick their colors and all that. But at the end of the day, there are some landmines that a home buyer should be very concerned about. First of all, they don't have these state real estate contracts for new construction. So the builder contracts are all designed to protect the home seller and not the buyer. And they have a lot of weasel clause to get themselves out of it. And there are some contracts where the buyer's earnest deposit is non-refundable after a certain point, even if they find defects with the home that they're building. So the typical process of a buyer finding a new home, and when I was a kid, I used to love to go to model homes. It's fun, but they are beautiful. You go to a model home, it's so pretty, it's decorated perfectly, there's no clutter, it smells good, it looks good. You feel like you could just drop in, move your stuff in, and get on with your life, right? And they're very, very good at this. So they get the buyers to fall in love. Then they'll say, oh, well, I have one that's, going to be ready in a month or two. And let me take you over to that house. Let me show it to you. Or I have one that has a premium lot that's going to have views if you can wait a few months. So they really get the buyer involved with everything about the home, and they get them to sign on the dotted line. But those contracts are not the state approved contracts. And there's some things in there that could be landmines for you. And usually there's a deadline that the buyer has to worry about. Like what they'll do is they'll say, oh, well, if you really want this house, you better show up, and sign the contract Saturday at 9 o'clock, because I have another one coming in right after you and they want that lot too. That they'll play that game as well. So you have to be prepared for that kind of takeaway strategy to get you in to sign the contract. That's one thing that they do that you should be careful and look out for. And builders will work with you if you have a house to sell in some cases, not always. There are some that won't even, dig a hole until your home is sold. I've had buyers that had to sell their home, get an apartment, wait until their home is built, and then move in. So you really want to know whether or not that's a possibility, and whether or not you're going to get your earnest money back if something falls through on the sale of your home. But I really feel like if you're going to work with a builder, you're dealing directly with the seller. So you're effectively denied representation. Now, I'll be honest with you. There are some agents that are very transactional. They're all about the money. They show up and smile with their business card when the contract is written, and then they're gone until closing day, and then they show up and smile and collect their check. There are people like that, unfortunately, and I don't recommend hiring an agent like that because the builders are paying their fee. However, there are some that are really good and that are going to show up every step of the way of the process and have your back. I just helped a couple buy a new construction home. And one of the things that they were noticing as their home was being built is some of the contractors were in there and they'd have, leftover cheeseburgers and beer cans, even marijuana cigarettes that they were smoking out on the back patio while they were building the house. But they would literally leave these food wrappers in between the framing and then be getting ready to drywall over it. So you got to pay attention to what's going on, especially if you're present. And if you're not present, your agent really should be doing that. But builders will tell you, I think you should have an agent if you have an agent that really understands contracts and can read it and protect your back. So some of the things that a buyer should be asking are, what's included with this home? Typically, builders Well, just include the basics, the stove, the microwave, the dishwasher, but maybe not the refrigerator. That's personal property. Likely not the washer and dryer. Likely not the garage door opener. You would think you need that, right? Some do and some don't cover landscaping. Some cover the front, some cover the back. Some of these builders or some of the communities require that you put up a big chunk of money until your landscaping is finished. So you need to be educated about what the whole process is. And don't hesitate to ask for stuff, ask for a discount, ask for the builder to pay your closing costs. Now, the builders are offering really big incentives, but you can negotiate with them sometimes. And if a consumer doesn't know how to do that, a good agent will. You can also ask them to, if let's say your perfect home is already under contract. I helped a buyer one time. I'll never forget. It was like the coldest day in the winter, a couple Februarys ago. And I was showing this buyer, and it was so cold that most of the model home offices shut down on a Saturday. But we're out there crawling through these framed up homes, looking at them. And we saw this one that was under contract that was perfect for them. So, but it was under contract. So we went back to the builder the next day when they came back to work and said, "Hey, what about that house?" And he goes, "You know what? That deal's falling apart." So my buyer was able to slip right in and get that. So there's a whole bunch of homes that the builders have that are not on the market. They're not advertised on the market. And the only way a buyer would know that they're available is that either they or the agent go to ask. And if you have a house to sell, that's really important. You want to know whether or not your deposit is refundable. And not all homes for sure are sold using the MLS. They're not all going to be there. So a really good agent's going to go and kind of bird dog for you and go, "Hey, what about this one? This one's about to come back on the market." One of my agents actually had her daughter buy a brand new home that was kind of like a builder special that fell out, and she got a fantastic deal. So my name is Barb Schlinker. And what we're talking about is whether or not you need a real estate agent when you buy a brand new build home. And we do this all the time. We can, first of all, help people with a house to sell to get a firm contract on their home so they can buy that new construction home without a sale contingency. That's one of the things that we could do that other agents cannot do. And there's some other landmines that we're going to talk about in the next segment. When we come back, we're going to talk about how a buyer can do their due diligence and know that they're making the right decision about a new home. Richard?
With Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. The program is Your Real Estate Voice. Barb is the host, and she is your real estate voice. You can reach her at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Now, Barb, when people buy new homes, they're assuming that it's like a new car, under warranty, bumper to bumper. Is that true?
Kind of. Theoretically, it is. You have a deadline. Each builder has a process on how it works. But you want to make sure that you get an extra pair of eyes to help you, especially as they're building on the final walkthrough in the first year before that first year is up when you buy a home. Typically, they are under warranty, and most of the time the builders are rally and fix any defects right before closing, but some things could come up from right after closing for the first year. I just unfortunately took over a house that was taken back in foreclosure. It's only 3.5 years old, and it has these massive cracks in the drywall in the ceiling, like separating, not just settlement cracks, but separating. And at first I thought, well, maybe there's a roof leak. The house is too young to have structural cracks, right? And so I had a roofer go out there. He goes, "No, that's structure." And he sent me some other pictures where inside in the basement, the drywall was curling, the trim was separating away. That had to show up within the first year. But it's possible that the homeowner really didn't know what to do and maybe didn't have representation of an agent to protect him if something went sideways. And I went up on AI to figure out, okay, if you're selling a home that has structural problems, how much less would a buyer pay if it has structural problems? It was a lot. It was like on average $90,000 It was an extraordinary number. And I was like, whoa. So that tells me that the typical live in the home buyer probably wouldn't buy it. It would be a fix and flip buyer. But the good news is the state requires that homes have a structural warranty and you need to file a claim. So I did call them to file a claim, even though we're not the first owner, it still applies. And I didn't like the answers that I got. I got this email back and it had a bunch of weasel clauses in it, like, well, only if it severely adversely affects, the lifestyle of the buyer. And I'm like, seriously? It's a 3-year-old house. It's cracking apart and you're asking me these questions. So we'll see. I don't know. It hasn't played out yet, but I'm trying to ask the VA to file a claim just to see what will happen in the process and whether or not they're going to honor it, because it effectively wipes out a lot of value of that home. It makes it unsellable. And that probably poor military guy didn't know what to do and just let it go. It's really sad. So you want to make sure you have somebody that fights for you, that you ask the right questions, because these builder contracts are all on their side and we know exactly how to do that. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And we help people buy and sell homes all the time. So if you are thinking of making a move, whether you're buying a new home and you have a house to sell, or you're just going to buy a new home, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
We're here talking with Barb Schlinker on Your Real Estate Voice, and Barb Schlinker, host of the program. She is your real estate voice. And if you're thinking of selling your home, you want to get the most amount of money, then you call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how to calculate the selling price of a house here in Colorado, plus Barb's hot new listings. You don't want to miss them.